There are so many incredible DIYs that you can do to personalize and save money on your wedding. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I DIY'd very special and sentimental floral confetti display holder. If you're thinking about using confetti or floral confetti, there are so many really cool ways that you can display this for your guests on your wedding day. Some of the fun ways that you can display this confetti is in a basket, maybe a suitcase, a kind of painted box. Petal bars have become really popular as it's a great way of letting your guests interact with the florals and create their little own cones as well. So you have all your florals, either dry or fresh, sort of in glass jars on a nice little table as they're about to enter into the ceremony. And they just pick up the different florals and create their little cone, and then when you're ready to walk out of the aisle, they throw it onto you. So that's a really fun way if you want the guests to be a bit more interactive. If you want to have things already set up, then having all the cones ready to go and then the florals in that either on their chairs or in a display at the front of the ceremony is a great way of indicating to the guests to pick this up before sitting down as well. One of the special moments that I wanted to have when I was walking out into my ceremony was to have a piece of furniture that was from my grandmother's home. She unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, and I really wanted to have something that was a memento from her home. This camphor chest was actually in her entryway, and it was always something that I used to see. And the best idea that would work out really nicely was to turn it into my confetti display holder. I really liked the idea of having that at the entry of the ceremony, so that way when I walked down with my dad, it was something that we both saw together as we were leading down into meeting my husband at the end of the aisle. So it was just a really special moment that I wanted to include in my wedding. I was really excited to create something that would be useful and functional for the wedding day, and also was a nice sentimental touch. So let me introduce you to the camphor chest that I'll be turning into my floral confetti holder. Trundle that was actually my grandmother's, and it was in her entryway, and I always used to love just coming home to hers and seeing this, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to keep this and have a bit of a memento from her. But I think this could be a nice floral confetti stand. Opens really nicely. The height I think is quite good to be able to grab the little floral cones, and I can actually build a little inset sort of plywood thing, probably paint that black or navy based on the wedding colours. I think this could be a nice way of including my nan in the wedding, as she passed away 2 years ago, so it'd be a nice way just having something that's there and it feels like that she's with me. To help me map out how I was going to create the cone holder, I went into SketchUp and created a bit of a mock-up of how I was going to create the sizing and placement of the holes, and just to see what it would look like inside the trunk. After having done that SketchUp design, I had a bit more of an idea of what I was going to do. So then I had the chest and I took it out into my garage, but I found that because it was so deep, it didn't have enough support to hold up the MDF panel. I ended up just finding some spare plank of timber to cut down the size to give me some support frames that would then hold the MDF panel up. That way it didn't sink too far down into the actual timber trunk as well. I tried putting the MDF in, but unfortunately it was a little bit too big, so I ended up using a saw and just scraping out the sides and shaving off a bit more of the MDF, and this worked a treat, and I was able to fit very snug and nicely into the trunk. To create the holes in the MDF sheet, I'm using a hole saw, and I'm just using the smallest hole saw point. Though I designed a mock-up in SketchUp, in the end when I was down in the studio, it was just so much easier to just go a bit free-flowing and just create the holes as I felt were just naturally kind of comfortable within that space, rather than having to measure out all the individual spots and just getting it all exact like I had done in my design. Having finished drilling in the one side, I just wanted to see what it would look like if I had some glass jars with the dry florals placed in the center. This would mean that I wouldn't have to keep drilling in so many holes throughout the whole panel, and it just broke it up, and it just visually looked a lot nicer having something in the center with the texture of the glass and the florals, and then the cones on the other side. So I did that, and it saved me a lot more time as well. After all the holes were drilled, I took this upstairs to paint, as it was quite dusty still downstairs, so I just wanted to make sure that I kept it dust free. And I painted this in the same color that I actually used for my DIY sweetheart table. If you haven't seen that video already, I'll link that down for you below too. Three days before the wedding, I then packed all the dry florals into a bag, and that way I could drop it off earlier at the property and it was all ready to go. The last thing to make for this display holder was the paper cones. This is our first date night movie that my husband and I saw, and he was not a fan of the movie, so he was fine to see this book all ripped up, but it was great to just include something that was just nice from sort of our past as well. So I rolled this up, and because it was a bit longer than the square would allow, I ended up just ripping off a bit of it to make it more squared of a size, and that way it made it easier to roll up. And just to stick it down together, I used double-sided tape, which my friend Sarah applied on the other side.
I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribed and you have your notifications on, because in my next video I'll be sharing with you how I made all the floral confetti that you saw in this video. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.